Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight. Today's series is Apollo by Naba Fusai. That name sounds kind of familiar. He's had two series in Weekly Shonen Jump. Both of them have gotten canceled. One of them was Aliens Area, which is kind of like a Men in Black battle shonen. It's not that bad, but that one got canceled like a year or so ago. And his most recent series that got canceled was Hyokuto Necromance, which had a very interesting premise. It was pretty much Exorcist meets Persona meets JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But there are reasons why they got canceled, and I'll kind of discuss them a little bit later on. So as for Apollo is just a one-shot, and it was part of Shonen Jump's Golden Future Cup in 2018. So let's just dive right in. So we start off with our main character, Apollo, and he is chasing a ghost with his assistant, and his assistant keeps yelling, shouting at the ghost. So Apollo just says, like, hey, if you keep yelling at the ghost is going to know where we're at, is going to keep running away. So you're fired because you suck, basically. And that's when we meet William, who's our secondary protagonist. And he's trying to find this apartment that he's going to be living in. And so he asks some guy for directions. And the guy's like, you don't want to go there, dude. Like, this apartment is in a place called the Ghost Town. It's dangerous and a bunch of ghosts appear there. And everyone that lives in that area, they're not normal. It's better if you go somewhere else. He's like, well, I can't do that. Like, I came here to be a Ghostbuster. I've come here to enroll in the ghost course. I'm starting in high school next week. And I don't have any money to live alone. And as he's on his way, he notices that his phone is dying. So he uses his soul to charge the battery. And that's when we get some world building, where in this world, people discovered that the human soul exists. There was this doctor in America who conducted this research, and his research found that when the human dies, there's a change in their weight. Like, every person that dies, their weight decreases by roughly 21 grams. And so there were studies done, and they realized that that 21 gram was the soul. Soul leaving is what caused that weight change. And since then, basically an occult revolution took place where the nature of souls has been elucidated. People have found out that you can use souls for everything. You can use souls to produce energy. You can use souls to fight diseases. It looks like you can maybe even use souls as work, because like we see like one little soul going around handing flyers to people. But yeah, basically souls exist, and because of that, you have your good souls and you have your bad souls. So people who die, of natural deaths with no regrets, their soul basically goes to heaven or whatever. But people who die with regrets, people who die with anger or depression or sadness or any negative feelings, their soul gets corrupted and becomes a ghost. And ghosts are evil. And so there are people who fight ghosts called Ghostbusters. Our secondary hero, William, wants to become one. And so he's heading towards his apartment down an alleyway when a ghost attacks him and wraps him up. And it turns out that this ghost is the one that's being chased by Apollo. And the ghost is like, hey, don't make a move or I'll kill this guy. And William, of course, is freaking out. And that's when Apollo pulls out this item that kind of looks like a spyglass, but it's actually a pipe. And he blows into it, and it basically shoots out this spiritual beam that damages the ghost. And he shoots another blast before almost using the pipe to create like a lightsaber, only instead of like a laser or whatever, it's a beam of soul energy. And he uses that soul saber to slice the ghost in half and kill it. Apollo basically says, hey, like, you're new here, right? I'll lead you the way. Like, I'm sure you're here for the new apartment. The two start walking towards the apartment when William kind of says, wow, like, the city is amazing. I can't believe I met a Ghostbuster in such a short time. I left my hometown to become a Ghostbuster, but the problem is that I have ghost fear syndrome, which is a disease that mobilizes you when you see a ghost. And the reason for that is because when he was younger, William saw a ghost eating somebody, and that traumatized him. And so, yeah, he still wants to become a Ghostbuster, even though he has a fear of ghosts. Apollo's like, it's fine as long as the soul is moving. And this is like a quote that comes up multiple times. The soul is moving, move with your soul. I'll be honest, it's kind of a dumb saying, but it is what it is. So Apollo takes him to the apartment, and it's a nice apartment, very big, furnished and all that stuff. And it turns out that Apollo is the one that's going to be his roommate. And he introduces this other girl named Peggy, and she's a weird girl who likes to clean and cook, and that's her sole purpose in life, is to just go around and clean up the apartment. And he even warns William, like, if you leave any things lying around, she'll keep them somewhere else, so be careful. And that's when Peggy informs William that her mom was a landlady and says that cleaning is part of the job, and that, this place is filled with memories of her dad, so she wants to keep cleaning it. I'm not sure if she's supposed to be a ghost or not. She kind of seems like she might be like a spirit, a soul of some kind, but she could just be a weird human. And Apollo says, yeah, like, I make my living being a Ghostbuster. And Peggy says, yeah, he does, but he doesn't pay any rent. He hasn't paid his rent in 8 months. And that's when William just kind of goes off on Apollo and says, hey, pay the rent and go to work. And just keeps saying that over and over again, which is very annoying. Like, this is someone who just saved your life from a ghost. And now you're upset at him because he doesn't pay the rent. Like, you don't know what the situation's like. How dare you judge him? But Peggy basically explains that Apollo is the molted Pied Piper. So molted comes from ghosts. Another word for ghosts is molted spirits. So spirits that are corrupted. Like when someone dies with negativity, their soul becomes corrupted. It becomes molted. And that molted soul becomes a ghost. So Apollo is called the molted Pied Piper. And that's because it came from the tale of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. And he's like an elite Ghostbuster. So he's like very popular, very high ranking and stuff. And William is just like, are you kidding me? This good for nothing guy. And it's like, dude, what do you mean good for nothing? He literally just saved your life from a ghost. I don't know. This part just kind of annoyed me. Where William is just constantly like, hey, go to work. You don't have money. Go to work. Stop being lazy. Go to work. How dare you be a good for nothing? It's like, I don't know. Not really a good way to introduce one of your main protagonists. But Apollo's just like, money, money, money. Your soul is running to waste. Like, you should be living for something more than just money. When your soul isn't moving, your body won't move. Your body shouldn't even move in the first place. Again, this is just weird kind of speak. Yeah, he basically says that, it's fine if I don't pay the rent. So if she tells me I don't have to pay rent, why would I want to pay it? You're acting weird. Why would I want to pay rent on an apartment where I have the opportunity to not pay rent? And William's like, this guy is garbage, and he decides to leave. He doesn't want to live with Apollo. Again, William's being very judgy right now. So William's about to leave when this beautiful girl shows up. Her name is Monica. She's like, oh, are you heading somewhere? And William's like, no, I'm not leaving. Like, he decides to stay because he wants to be around her. And Apollo teases him, says, so, your soul has moved, huh, boy? Again, just the whole weird soul is moving and your body follows. So, but she is a client. She shows her resume, which shows that she's very smart. She skips grades. She's entering a prestigious music college. Her father's the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So she's smart, she's talented, and she's high class. Her request is that there's a haunted mansion, and ghosts frequently keep appearing in her house. So she wants to hire Apollo to get rid of them. So he's like, all right, fine, I guess I can do that. So they show up at the mansion, where it turns out that Monica lives by herself because her dad works overseas and her mom lives with him. And so they go inside. Apollo immediately senses all the ghosts. And it says that these ghosts have a grudge against Monica. And William's like, what kind of grudge? Like, how can they hate her? Or is the hatred due to being killed? Monica's like, but I haven't killed anyone. And that's when a bunch of ghosts appear. And Apollo explains, nah, it's not because, she's a martyr or anything like that. It's because you're beautiful, you're intelligent, you're top in your class, you're academically smart, you're talented, you're rich. You have all the things that make people want to hate you. Like, these are all things that people would like to have. So it's jealousy. That's why they're targeting you. And so a bunch of them appear and just kind of start yelling unfair, angry, killer. And so Paul's like, you do your best. I'll leave her to you. William, I want you to take Monica and get out of here, and I will take care of the ghosts. And so he goes and turns his pipe into a sword and starts slaughtering the ghosts. William, once again, his syndrome kicks in. The ghosts arrive, and they're about to attack Monica, and he's too scared to do anything. He's like frozen in place. And Apollo comes in and saves her, and basically says, like, what are you so shocked by? What a wasted opportunity. The power produced by love is surprisingly huge. It's been scientifically proven. Train your soul as much as possible. Don't you want to be a Ghostbuster? And that seems to pump up William, so he grabs Monica's hand and starts trying to leave the mansion, while Apollo takes on the big bad ghost, the big leader. And he basically reveals that, when you train your soul, a special term born from the occult revolution, You move your soul and burden it, just like moving your muscles. Make it heavier than 21 grams. Then the soul will be powered up. So we see him using his soul to like super power it up and launch this energy wave out of his sword that kills the ghost and destroys it. And so the place is no longer haunted. Mission accomplished. Monica is now safe. And he once again tells William, follow your soul and move. Energy will be released that way. Again, like none of this really makes that much sense. It just feels like someone talking to say something to sound smart, but it's not really smart. Kind of like the current Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings. Why does a rock sink and a boat float? Because a rock faces downward, but a boat faces up. Like that doesn't make any sense, but it's supposed to try to sound smart. That's kind of what I feel like the whole follow your soul and move. Energy will be released that way. When your soul moves, your body moves with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just dumb, but it just sounds kind of like you're trying to sound smart or you're trying to say something that sounds kind of clever, but it just sounds kind of dumb if you really break it down. But they go back to the apartment where the landlady is there, and she says, yeah, you guys don't need to pay rent. There are a lot of ghosts here, but ever since Apollo came, the ghosts came scared, and they don't come near the house anymore. And so Apollo's basically like the watchdog. And so, yeah, that's why he doesn't have to pay rent. So, stuck on that, William. But William decides that he'll stay here. That's when there's a knock on the door, and Monica shows up. And she basically says, I have 2 tickets for a concert that I'm hoping to find someone to go with. Could you please hand this ticket to Apollo? And so, yeah, William goes and hands a ticket over to Apollo. So he's the one who wins the girl in the end. And that's the end of the one shot. Earlier in the video, I said that Naba Fusai has a lot of interesting ideas, but his series gets canceled, and I'll be explaining why. And I believe the reason why is Naba kind of seems like a George Lucas type in the sense that they come up with really good ideas, but they need someone to kind of keep them on the leash. Someone to kind of just narrow things down for them and really get to what's important, what's entertaining, and what's not. Like really get to the meat and potatoes of the story. The problem with Naba, as someone who's read all of Alien's Area and Kyokuto Necromance, is that the ideas are amazing. Like I love the ideas of Alien's Area. Basically, it's like MIB, Battle Shonen, and this regular dude is teaming up with this guy, and they're using alien technology to basically fight off evil aliens and protect Earth. And Kyokuto Necromance also sounds freaking amazing. Like I said before, it's basically about a guy who gets a ring that allows him to have like a persona that kind of works as a stand from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and use that to exorcise ghosts and demons and stuff. So it sounds amazing. It sounds awesome. They're basically like necromancers, but they only have like one ability, one stand. But the problem is that sometimes the problem is that the story, sometimes it needs more focus. Like the dialogue can be touched up a bit. I don't know if it's just like the translation, but for example, Apollo, where we just have a lot of the soul moves and the body moves with it. Like that's just kind of annoying. Or we have, him going to fight the ghosts in the mansion. It's like, it would have been nice since this is one shot if you had something maybe a little bit more personal. Why is Apollo so good? How did he earn his nickname? Like we know it's because he's like elite when it comes to dealing with ghosts and that he uses a pipe to do it. But there's got to be more to it, right? What's up with William? Why does he want to be a Ghostbuster so badly even though he's afraid of ghosts? Like we don't really get any of that. And there are other one-shots that I've read and some that I've covered that basically kind of nail down all the basic stuff and you really get a feel for how these characters are. You don't really get too much of a feel for William. Like, I don't really know too much of what his personality is other than he wants to be a Ghostbuster even though he's afraid of ghosts. And he seems to judge people way too quickly. Apollo, on the other hand, is just a very eccentric person. He doesn't eat meals. Instead, he just gobbles vitamin supplements and powder, like protein powder and stuff. And he's like, these are all the nutritions I need. So he's kind of like, he almost kind of comes across lazy in the sense that he doesn't work unless it's something that he feels like a job if he feels like taking. Because earlier he has a job offer and he refuses for no reason, then he just doesn't want to do it. But he's not like super lazy in the sense that he's like constantly sleeping or anything like that. He's just one of those people where like he just wants to do what he wants to do. He's very aloof. That's kind of like all we really get. Meanwhile, there are other one-shots that I've done that will break things down even more. Like, for example, the recent series that I did by the Phantom Seer duo, where we had the main character and we know exactly like what he is. He's someone who works with the Holy Knights. He goes around Europe fighting against evil created by masks. And the reason why he's doing that is because he had a mask himself, and he used that ability so much that he basically kind of lost his head. Literally, like he's no longer fully human. And so he's trying to find the human mask so that he can use that power to become human once again. It's like, okay, that's very interesting. Like you get his backstory, you get his goals, you get why he's doing what he's doing, and you get his personality all in a one shot. That also introduces another secondary protagonist, and you find out why she does what she does and things. It's one of those where other mangakas make the most of the pages that they get, where I feel like Naba doesn't necessarily do that. Sometimes things drag on, sometimes they feel almost kind of filler, sometimes things are put in that just aren't too interesting. It's like the ideas are there, but the execution just isn't clicking. And it's a shame because, again, Naba's ideas are amazing, I believe. His artwork is fantastic. His fight scenes are really good. He has everything to become a good mangaka, to get a good long-lasting series. It's just there's one thing holding him back. And I feel like Naba might be one of those mangakas that maybe he needs to hire a writer to work with him. Not necessarily someone to do the writing while he just does the artwork, but just someone who can really just take his ideas and focus it into an entertaining story. An editor could do that, but for some reason, I mean, he has 2 series and the editor doesn't seem to be doing that. So maybe he's just not clicking with the editor that he's given. But yeah, I think Naba has a lot of potential to be an amazing mangaka. He needs someone to just kind of reel him in a bit. Someone to just kind of get him to focus on what works and what doesn't. Someone who could just really take his ideas and just nail them down to the essentials, right? I guess that's kind of why I wanted to do a spotlight on Apollo. It's just one, I think it's an interesting story. It has its weak points though. Again, like I've mentioned before with the characters and things like that. Like there's stuff here that could be really cool and interesting, but it just doesn't fully execute it. And that's pretty much how I feel about his other series, like Necromance and Aliens Area. Very amazing, cool ideas. Awesome premises, amazing artwork, cool fight scenes. Even the characters can be somewhat interesting. They're like pieces that are like, okay, this can be really cool, but you're not fully getting the most out of what you got here. And so I think if you were to find like an editor that he can work with, or maybe team up with a writer, I think he can go places. Yeah, I guess this is kind of like a spotlight on both Apollo as well as Naba himself. But there you go. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.